Now, President Cyril Ramaphosa published a report on political collusion in the State Security Agency. So could this be his version of a transparent government, one that actually takes accountability for a bad move? Could this move likely cost the ANC in the elections, though? To help answer these questions, we're joined by public relations strategist Makhosini Nkosi. Makhosini, good to see you.
Very happy to be here.
It was a high-level report. It didn't really delve into the nitty-gritty too much. Give us a couple of things that stood out for you.
Look, I think for me the important issue, Tony, is that this State Security Agency concerns itself with the safety and security of South Africans. They have to look at threats that are coming towards us as a country. They have to look also externally what forces could be against us as a country. Now, if you take the State Security Agency and have it seized with political issues, and not just that, but factional political battles.
Yeah.
So you're saying that they must not pay attention to the things that they have been established for. And already you can see that South Africa, we have a crime problem. Not long ago, there were, cash and transit heists and all those things. Those are things that spooks have to concern themselves with, together with crime intelligence. So as regards the results of, the usurping of the State Security Agency, we can see that. And I think that it is a good thing that there was a report that was commissioned and that report has made findings.
Okay, it's made those findings now. And the key question, of course, has to be when we're going towards the election on May 8th, is this a good time for this report to come out?
Look, let me tell you what I think the president had to choose between. He had two almost contradicting interests to take care of. One, you have the openness that we as South Africans want, that you as the media want, that we as political commentators want. So if you are going to commission an investigation into a state agency, that you and I are stakeholders in. It's our tax money that is used there. You expect some level of openness, that it must be made public. Of course, it will be redacted. There will be things that we blocked out because of the nature of the work that the State Security Agency do. But on the other hand, the timing of the report being released now, 2 months before an election, it raises suspicion. And the fact that it was released on a Saturday, that is for maximum impact because you are targeting Sunday newspapers. Many people read Sunday newspapers more than they read daily newspapers. So I think there was an element that the presidency could not hide of glee in releasing the report, but because politically it's good for the president. Is it good for the ANC or not? It is good in the sense that it says to people, the candidate for president, the person who's going to take over as president after the election, is a man who is open, he's a man who likes transparency. So it's good for the ANC in that respect. But internally within the ANC, it's going to cause a lot of ructions because already there are many people who see President Ramaphosa as someone who's willing to use state processes like the report, like other things, to get at his opponent. Because really, even at Nasrec, I don't think that the competition was so much between Cyril Ramaphosa and Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma as it was between Cyril Ramaphosa and Jacob Zuma.
Let's talk about Jacob Zuma now. The former president coming out with a very quick response to this in a tweet. I think we're going to put that tweet up, and I'll let you do the honors and speak to this tweet. What's your take on this response?
I think that the former president missed an opportunity to say, I did not see that, look, I did not abuse the State Security Agency. I think he missed an opportunity to say he did well, he did everything according to what he was supposed to do. But if we could look at that tweet immediately, he's talking about two people who are known former spies. Right, I don't know who he could be referring to. I do have my own suspicions, but I don't think it would be proper for me to talk about that. But when you talk about, I did not write a letter to the special branch, I think now he's regurgitating the allegations that were made by Musiwa Likota in Parliament, who cast aspersions on Cyril Ramaphosa that he may have been a spy. And I did indicate, I spoke here on eNCA, I thought that was the worst day politically for Cyril Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa, and now this thing comes back, because an allegation like that keeps lingering on. You don't quash it.
Yes.
He came out and he made the statement he made, but his opponents will keep throwing that issue, because that's what weakens him in the eyes of ANC supporters.
Can I focus on the last line there in this tweet? I hope people are not opening a can of worms which they might regret.
That is a Jacob Zuma threat that he makes all the time. He hasn't made good of that threat, but he keeps making that threat that he will one day spill the beans and everybody will know what is happening. I think there are some ANC leaders who would be worried about that. Jacob Zuma was the leader of the intelligence within the ANC, and he would know, because again, with issues of intelligence, there doesn't need to be proof. There doesn't need to be proof that you were a spy. People just need to make that allegation. They did it against Bulelani Ngcuka in 2003, and he had his back against the wall to defend that. And like I said, allegations like those don't go away. They keep lingering on. When people make allegations against you like that, you can deny them, but they keep lingering on.
Within the spy services, not the spy intelligence services, do you think that there are people that are still loyal to the former president? And if so, how loyal are they? Are they willing to fight the fight for him within?
Look, I don't think that we should make this a Jacob Zuma thing. It is deeper than that. In fact, the report does talk to 2005, when this is supposed to have happened. Who was president then? It was Thabo Mbeki, right? So, in fact, I think that, one president who did not really have his hands on the intelligence services was Nelson Mandela. The elected official who was responsible for intelligence, John Tlantla, was a deputy minister who was reporting to a minister.
Yeah.
Okay, and with President Thabo Mbeki, he made this a full ministry, which means it reports to him and to him alone. And Jacob Zuma followed with that. So I think there is a history in South Africa of intelligence agencies being used for political purposes. And the biggest of all, by the way, happens before 1994. The apartheid security intelligence agencies were about enforcing the laws of apartheid, were political in nature. They were not so much about the protection of the country and its people.
But I would suppose the difference between then and now is that they seem to be more used now internally to fight internal battles. This is what the report is suggesting.
Sadly, and the fact that that is happening, we see the results of that. I mean, we have a crime problem in the country.
Where to now, after this report?
Look, I think President Ramaphosa is going to deflect and just put this behind him and carry on campaigning. But I think that what it is going to have, it may have an impact on the person of former President Jacob Zuma. Because I don't know if you know, the biggest suspicion amongst ANC leaders is that the African Transformation Movement, which Mzwanele Manyi is a face of, they see that as a project similar to COPE, that is supposed to weaken the ANC, on behalf of former President Jacob Zuma, and even within that, church itself that has spawned the ATM. There is talk even amongst congregants within that church that it's becoming political. They are being led in one direction, and that's not where they want to go. So I think really the issue that the ANC could be trying to deal with is ATM.
ATM. Well, we'll see if they come good. We'll find out in, a couple of months' time. It's not long.
Yes.
Makhosini, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
That's Makhosini Nkosi. He's a public relations strategist. Okay, you're watching eNCA now.